Think and Grow was started in 2015. It was myself and Jonathan Jeffries who got the business started. And we got the business started because what we noticed in market was the amount of growth that was occurring within the startup and digital ecosystem was exponentially greater than the enrolments in a critical foundation course, which was software engineering and computer science. And so we noticed with that growth in the ecosystem, there was no way that the talent was going to keep up with that growth. And our hypothesis was there would then be a huge talent shortage in market. So Think and Grow was created to plug that gap, and we're going to plug that gap by bringing in talent and expertise from other markets internationally. A lot of recruiters say that they're specialising in a certain area. They also profess to want to work in a certain market, but oftentimes they don't actually get themselves into that market and become specialised. So what that looks like for us is we actually spend a huge amount of time in the community. We go to events, we do mentoring and investing into the startup ecosystem. We spend a huge amount of time travelling overseas and seeing what other ecosystems do. And we bring all that knowledge back together and think about what's actually then best for the Australian ecosystem and how do we apply that to help the ecosystem grow and develop. And that basically means how do we help the ecosystem hire the very, very best people that it can. The talent in Australia is actually really, really good. So the mistakes a lot of people make is that they think, oh, you have to hire all your roles from the US or you have to go find people in Europe. And there's actually some great people here. What we do advise clients to do though is for certain positions when you do need the very, very best people, and these are often executive roles, leadership positions, critical areas in your business where you have a shortage of knowledge and skill, is go hire the very, very best person possible, and that means bringing people in from overseas. More importantly, what we always suggest is that the culture of your organisation is one about continuous improvement. So that's how do you get others to learn off each other? How do you reflect on mistakes that your organisation has made? And therefore, how do you do something better tomorrow than what you did today? Our philosophy is less is more, basically, so pretty simple. So try and hire people who are going to have high impact on your organisation and don't go for having a high number of staff. There's data out there that shows that as organisations get bigger, they get less efficient, and we absolutely believe that is a characteristic that unfortunately a lot of businesses are plagued by. We just relocated someone from Seattle to Sydney. She joined the business as a CMO. Her background was she had spent 10 years in Silicon Valley in Seattle. She worked for GoDaddy, Intuit, Amazon. The attraction to Australia was the mix of lifestyle, yet not having to compromise on career opportunity as well. So she had spent 10 years in a country that she didn't actually enjoy living in, not realising that there were actually other ecosystems out there where you can continue your career development and not compromise. And so I guess what we don't do very well is actually marketing ourselves to the outside world and actually saying to people, hey, come to Australia, check out what we have. Look at the opportunities here and look at the great things that we can do. I think companies like Atlassian have done a great job in helping to change that. I think Canva will do a great job in helping to change that. All we need is more of those stories. So there's always some cultural sensitivity that needs to go into any recruitment process, particularly when hiring Americans. Oftentimes the business practices require faster thinking, they're more direct in their communication style. They can also be a bit more ruthless around decision making. In Australia, we're a little bit softer around those things, and so you do need to reconcile those, and that either means an adjustment in how that person is led and managed, or it's actually getting them to change the way and mould themselves to the Australian practices.
Great. Just lastly, just in terms of some of the key challenges you see both startups and the bigger end of town, the key challenges they face in terms of hiring, tech and engineering talent, what would those be?
It's a misunderstanding of what they're actually looking for and a misdiagnosis of what's important in a particular role. So our methodology is very, very simple. It's really about identifying what are the 3 key attributes that are important for that person's success in the organisation. And it's as simple as that. It's not a big kind of 20-page job description with different kind of key points and ideas. It's just boiling it all down to what's important.
Great. Anthony, thank you so much. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.